the name Fallujah may conjure many memories for viewers because this was one of the main battlegrounds in the war in Iraq between the Americans and Al-Qaeda linked groups. What's happened now is that a group linked to Al-Qaeda, it calls itself the Islamic State of Iraq and Sham, has taken Fallujah and the neighbouring town of Ramadi again. Now, how has this happened? Cast your mind back to 2003. The opposition to the American occupation of Iraq was centred around these two cities, Fallujah and Ramadi in Anbar province. The majority of the people there are Sunnis, Sunni Muslims, and Al-Qaeda felt that this was the place where they could have their spearhead in Iraq, and the Americans took them on. There was a terrible incident back in March 2004 when American contractors were caught by Al-Qaeda and strung from a bridge. It was a most horrific incident. And then the Americans went in and they went into battle. There was one disastrous assault and then an assault in November 2004. I was there then at the time. I was embedded with the Americans. It was the most intense fighting that I have ever seen. It was quite terrifying. The Americans went in with all firepower, with tanks, with armoured vehicles, with air raids. Well, they crushed Al-Qaeda in Iraq in that area and took back Fallujah, but at what cost? The local people learnt to hate the Americans because so many civilians were killed. And it took many years for the Americans to persuade the tribal leaders, the sheikhs, to support the new Iraqi government, to come back on side, to do a deal so that Sunnis and Shias, because the new Iraqi government was dominated by Shias, could work together. They developed these things called the awakening councils. These were the local tribal leaders, and they did come back on board with both the Americans and the new Iraqi government. What's happened now is that the Iraqi government, it's dominated by Shias, it's thrown all that away. It won't share power with the Sunnis. So it's not completely surprising then that local people are angry with the government. They don't see any reason why they should cooperate with it. And they have allowed Al-Qaeda to come back in again. Why is Al-Qaeda strong again? Because it's been fighting in Syria and because it now has an ambition, which is the new Islamic State, which will be in this area, Fallujah and Ramadi, all the way across the border and up into northwestern Syria. This, I think, is going to be a major battle in the months to come.